Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Two Sistas Wacky Wonky Mindset Monday. Someone is having technical issues on her end, and I'm cracking up so much like I'm crying here. But in any event, good morning, everyone. This is Janice, aka Wellness Diva, with two. And you've muted yourself on your phone. Okay, she's working on.
I know I muted myself for a reason. See the back, so I'm logging off again.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. So she's muted out for now as she works on the oh my gosh, as she works on the technical issues on her. And I got to tell you, obviously, when you saw that green, if you're viewing this or watching it live through Facebook, she had a green screen on, but before that, it just looked like a hole in the wall. And I'm like, what's wrong with your wall? She's like, no, that's me.
Well, actually, when I first came on, it was like I was a hologram, because the weird thing is you could see this back wall, but you didn't see me, like I was not there. And it reminded me of this kooky movie I just saw with, oh gosh, who was the woman who played? Oh my God, I'm gonna go kooky. She's a comedian. She played in The Bridesmaids, a little bit heavier set.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, she was just recently in a movie, and it's about like superhero women. And her partner, they're working on this. She's like a scientist, and they're working on this genetic thing where she actually does go invisible. And that's what I thought I was seeing, because you could literally see this back wall, pictures, everything was clear. But the center of the screen where I am, you couldn't see me. I was not there. And then all of a sudden, it looked like a black hole was appearing, and then it went green. So I don't know. It must be something to do with the camera inside my
that very well could be, but excuse me, barring of course technical difficulties, or this is what I always say, and I always refer to this is what live podcasting is all about, because you can really see us in live action. This is us authentically. Shit happens.
Shit happens, and you don't stop. I mean, you don't like freeze up. Sometimes we do freeze up. Literally, do we freeze up? Depending on the connection and whatnot. But the point being is to push through in the middle of what is going on, and that really comes with a conviction, but that also comes with Monday mindset. Like, you have to have that vision to say, hey, if I gotta do kind of like a comedian routine to get through this, I'm going to, which that comes quite naturally with the two of us. So it really is just a matter of, maybe it's time that, I get a new computer or whatever. I guess I'll have to bring it in. And it's one of those things, like, you can't be without your computer. So I do have a backup computer that I don't think I've turned on in years. I mean, I say that I turn it on 2 times a year. So I guess that could work in a jam. And, I'm right in the middle of, planning a big tournament. So all my work is here, which that's not impacting it. But I still need to, I guess, start looking for, a computer at some point, for sure. But at the same time, I'm going to have to have somebody take a look at this and try to get it going. The computer works. It must be something to do with the video piece to it. Camera.
And it might be an easy fix, and who knows, maybe they got to clear out what is it they call it, the cache, or I have
no, though, because it was so weird. Like I said, I could see the whole thing went, and the whole thing did eventually go. We went to a totally green screen. But what was very unusual was that you could still see my wall crystal clear. It's just where I sit. So me being right in front of the camera was not only wasn't focused, I literally was not there. We should have taken a screenshot of it, because really
it was hysterical. I couldn't stop laughing. I said, I'm going live. Here we go.
Why not just do it? And, so you saw the green screen for the very beginning. You did see the green screen. Right. But at one point it went to, like I was a ghost, to a black hole to, I was in like 3 different positions. I was horizontal and vertical with a almost like psychedelic look to it. And then it went green. So yeah, maybe that was the camera saying, Shate, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to Mindset Monday, we've met with, of course, we're gearing up for our 4th season, and we have one of our returning guests coming back, Paul Forcione, which we absolutely love Paul. And then, of course, we met with Kalina, and she'll be also, they're both on for Monday because they're really into mindset. So we are very excited to showcase them. And boy, is the guest list heating up. We are just very excited, and we're going to bring you some new amazing guests. Of course, like I said, bringing back some of our favorite guests, and we'll see where all this goes. But mindset really is the key for starting your day, not just on Mondays.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that positive thought. So it really is really accepting that, as much as we planned out, now hopefully you've already planned out your week on Sunday, because technically that is, the first day of the week. Have you checked your planner? What appointments do you have coming up? Are you planning different things? Do they overlap or conflict with something else that oops, I got the calendar on my phone, I got the calendar on my iPad, and I got my physical calendar. You want to make sure that you're all coordinated, number one. Number two, really embracing that you can't control the outside entities of, that you have to renegotiate, oh, a kid got sick, or, my husband's car broke down, or, oh, shoot, I forgot this appointment. These are the things that happen. And what is in our control is our mindset. And the only way that we continue to be positive and really focusing on what matters, despite the derailments, despite the renegotiation, renavigation of our day and or week, is to have a positive mindset. You have to not only say it, and it's so good to say it out loud. What are your I ams? A lot of people say, this stuff is kind of hokey. Does it really work? It absolutely does work, because it puts you in that better frame of mind. And when you already are in that positive role, that positive journey, when the derailments of the things that you don't control start to play interference in the thought process of your brain, that now physically takes you to somewhere that you didn't necessarily want to go, you can handle it much better. You're going to find that you come out of it much better. You may even come out of that renegotiation, navigation, derailment in a better way and in a quicker timeline, because you're already there. You're already in a good spot. So yeah, okay. I'm going to be 15 minutes late. You know what? 2 seconds. Let me call the doctor. Let me call my friend. Let me call my spouse, my partner, my friend, and say, hey, look at, I'm running late due to A, B, and C. Either, start without me, or I'll meet you there. Or guess what? I got to change it to another time. Does that work for you? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, we'll work it out. And if you have that positivity that you're going to get through it, guess what? You're going to get through it.
That is so true. And of course, with, everything going on, for myself personally, I finally feel like, okay, I'm starting to get caught up, so to speak. And I missed 1 or 2 things, and I reached out to those people, and you have to be real, and you have to be honest. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Got derailed with everything, going on. And they were so appreciative that, I was honest and real. And that's really all you have to be, is honest and real, and be authentic, of course.
Absolutely. And don't do a no show. There's nothing wrong with saying, oops, I screwed up, because now you're showing your vulnerability. You're showing that, hey, I'm a player that I got everything all in order and I'm all like on point. But you know what? We're all human. So some days we suck. Some days we forgot. Some days we forget to put it on the calendar. Some days we don't slow up enough to understand that I can only control my space. I'm not in someone else's shoes. I'm not in someone else's timeline. But I am accountable to one person only, and one person only. And that's the reflection that you see in the mirror. That's who you are accountable to. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I messed up. I got my wires crossed, I got my dates screwed up. It does happen. Now it's funny saying that. John, recently that just occurred with him with his yearly physical. He could swear it was at 1:45 and it actually was 12:45. And I said, well, maybe somehow you forgot to put the 2 in the 12. And he goes, well, that's kind of bizarre. I said, well, not really. How many times do you find yourself right? Because he writes his stuff down. And then he'll, put it, he'll see it and then he puts it in his phone. And I said, how many times do you write something down, but your mind is not really focused on what you're writing? Or a phone call comes in, someone rings the doorbell, a delivery's coming. So you kind of start haphazardly and then you go back to finish it, or you just kind of scribble it down. So I said, that happens more often to not. We all do it. So I say, embrace, the bumps, the warts, the kookiness, the forgetfulness, we always try to do our best to make sure that we're planned and organized, but it doesn't always work that way. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get all pissy about it? So what John did is exactly that. He called and he said, you know what? I just wrote it. I can't believe that, this is what I wrote down, but that's what's in my phone. And I'm looking at my notes and that's what I wrote down. I made a mistake. And they said, and literally he called within, like his appointment had not started yet. It would start in 10 minutes. And, they said, shoot, normally we're a little bit behind, we can get you in, but we're actually on time today. So he had to reschedule and, he rescheduled it for like a week later. Not a big deal. And then, a lot of people say, well, how do I keep myself on track? If I don't carry my planner or my physical calendar around, set alerts on your phone. Hey, give yourself, a countdown, night before, that morning, and maybe an hour ahead of that particular appointment. If it's an appointment, something that you have to be on, it could be not that you're even going anywhere. It could be on a Zoom. It could be a telephone conference, whatever it may be, doctor's appointment. You just be surprised how many people just, the day slips from them or they just make an error. So, but when you have a good mindset about it and you can laugh about it, and like you say, sometimes it impacts a business or really impacts something, say you're sorry. Nothing wrong with that. It happens.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I have a funny story about men writing things down.
Okay.
You kind of know where this one is going.
For sure.
So my husband was spending the day with our brother last week, and I was real busy doing something, excuse me. So he decided to write out the grocery list, which is fine. Of course, he had a lot of stuff, extra stuff on there, which I crossed out. Anyways, I said, not a problem. I do have some time today and I'll go. So I went and did the grocery shopping, came home, got everything organized. Then the next day, he says, where's the grocery list I gave you? And I said, I throw it away. I don't need it anymore. He said, well, I wrote down a number on it that I need. And I'm supposed to know that why? So anyways, we kind of laughed about it. So in years ago, I came up with this thing for him. When you write down a telephone number, immediately take a picture of it and put that in your notes with the person's name. That way you can search your notes, and you can even get into really, tagging your notes and this and that. But if you search for their first name, you should be able to find it okay.
Right. And what I've been getting a habit into is like when I'm verbally talking to somebody. Now, obviously with certain phones, you can clone your phone, airdrop it, whatever you do. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, nor do I pretend that I have Apple, because I don't. I think Samsung phones, Droids can do something like that too, but I don't know. I'm like, literally when I'm right there, I'm like, what is your number? I'm calling it now. And then I'm going to immediately text you, say, hey, it's Carroll-Sue. And then I'll get your info and put it in my phone. To me, that works out really well, because if I was to try to take a picture, I take so many pictures, as many people know, I probably have 10,000 on my phone right now. Then I would have to go search for it, even if it's in my notes, like which note did I put it in? So But I also love the idea that if that works for someone and they're used to using the note piece on their phone, go for it. Whatever makes your life easier, like what's going to work for me is not going to work for somebody else, and vice versa. And that's the beauty of being organized kind of in your own space, not only in your own space, but your own mind, because not everything works the same for everyone else. Some people like sticky notes. I like only a limited amount of sticky notes to remind me of things. Or I'll take the sticky note and I'll actually put it in the planner of that month to make sure, okay, make sure I got to record this, whatever. Some people like the wall calendar.
Mhm.
Some people, whatever it may be. And when they feel like they're organized, they feel like they have a better mindset to like live their lives.
Mhm.
And, I remember I can't remember, it might have been even my son, Mike, I can't remember. I told somebody this one day. They said, you write everything down in your calendar, but it's a lot of work. To me, it's part of my day, so I don't think of it as work. But at the end of the day, if it's a little exercise that I got to do to keep organized, why wouldn't I do it? So again, for somebody else, they may strictly use, a lot of people live by their devices. So they want it right on their device. I'm in like 3 different things, just really for double check, and it keeps my mindset focused on, okay, what do I need to accomplish today? Let me look. Before I get out of bed, I always double check my
Mhm.
device calendar. And then I said, does that match up with my planner? And it's a ritual. I shouldn't say that. I first make my bed, because we know that making a bed is a great way to start any day with great mindset, because then you've accomplished something. Check off something. I actually accomplished one goal today. A lot of people say, well, that's kind of silly. You have a goal to make your bed? Absolutely. Absolutely have a goal to make my bed every day, because I don't like getting in an unmade bed. 2, I feel like I accomplished something that I knew I could do, but I followed through with it. I didn't talk about it. I didn't procrastinate about it. I didn't say, oh, I'll get to it later. I do it. So and then the next thing I do is kind of look at my calendars. How about you? What do you do for first thing to make sure that your mindset is on point?
Well, I love that. I love this conversation about mindset because for me, I typically start that on a Sunday. That's just how I roll. For
Right.
instance, yesterday, obviously I write stuff in my calendar. I have my huge wall calendar. But then, of course, with meetings, I match up everything first and then I double check and go through my meetings in Zoom to make sure, everything is the way it should be. And I feel so good when I do that because potentially you can miss something and it may take probably took me about 20 minutes, but think of that was like a golden 20 minutes and after I got done with that, I was like, yeah, like I felt great that I'm sticking with how and everything works different for everyone
Right.
as far as organization. But for me, it's really critical. It makes me feel good that I went through and confirmed everything is correct because, hey, we get interruptions during the day and maybe I'm in the middle of something and, I have to answer a phone call or whatever it may be. And, it just makes you feel good. It keeps me on the straight and narrow, I guess.
Yes. And then another thing I love to do to keep that mind fresh and excited is I try to listen to something inspiring. And usually I like it to be a song, something that's going to kind of get me up and go, put me in that happy mood, get me motivated. I just love, I love music. All weekend long, we went from, Friday night we saw live music, Saturday night live music. Sunday, of course, was football. Oh, speaking of, see, we get sidetracked here, mindset. A lot of people were not too happy with the games yesterday. Now, it wasn't necessarily, part of it, I'm sure, is a piece of, maybe their team didn't get it. FYI, none of the teams that were there are my teams, but I do have watched and do enjoy watching the quarterback from Kansas City, which is Mahomes. He really is, he reminds me of a very young Brady, different personalities, whatever, not physicality or not even personality, but And he actually, he can move in the pocket. We know Tom Brady, that's not one of his best attributes, but I do like him, and I foresee him to be, the really bright future of the NFL. And for me, there's not a lot of bright futures in the NFL, meaning the actual business piece to it. I don't, I think they've got some issues or something with their refs. They all seem to like really mess up during really important. I mean, you shouldn't mess up. And again, we're all human. We're going to mess up. But it seems like it's a narrative always during playoff season. So, I went out there and I said, okay, this is going to sound like a conspiracy theory, but so be it. I don't care. So think about this. The worst ref game was last night's game, which was between Kansas City and who was it? Oh my God, I'm already drawing a break. The Bengals, right? No. Yes, I think it was isn't that terrible? I can't remember now. But anyways, it was a horrible, because neither of them are my team, that's why I don't really remember. Terrible officiating. There was a lot of questionable calls, and like sometimes you didn't know what was going on. Wasn't very clear, wasn't very concise. And a lot of people, as social media does during a games or during any games, is you get people start, chatting about, their disdain for the refs and what is going on, and what is this, the blind leading the blind, and there's a third team out there. Like, it was just one thing after another. And then when you got to the end and you realize that Kansas City won the AFC, AFC, and the Eagles won the NFC. Then you see this connection, and you're like, So I was chatting online with somebody about it, and they go, "Oh my God, I love the way your mind thinks." So think about this: Andy Reid, who is the coach for Kansas City, was the coach for the Eagles for years. Like, I'm talking years. Now let's add a little more drama to it. It has never happened in the history of Super Bowl that you have two brothers playing on opposite sides, meaning one's from the Eagles, one's from Kansas City. So think of the drama. And I mean, literally 30 seconds when the game is over, that, like, all these already reports were already typed out, written, and all over the internet. And yet, so I'm starting to say, look at how quickly they're now talking about the two brothers. And they're talking about Andy Reid going back to his, playing his, rival, and I thought, and now you add the mixture of all these bad calls, which everyone seemingly believes that is what really pushed the narrative on who was going to win the games, either game. And I thought, it's not such a far fetch. I mean, is it a conspiracy? Absolutely. But it's kind of a fun one.
Oh my gosh. And of course, when I heard that the Eagles won, I remember Ryan saying to me, one of the times I was in Philly, and I believe it was when I don't know the name of their baseball team, but anyways, Ryan was saying, and a report had come up that they were starting to grease the poles. And I'm like, what? And Ryan was saying to me, yeah, whenever a Philly team is in the playoffs, whether it's baseball, football, or whatever, it's a big championship game, they grease the poles, like, the light poles or whatever, because people go crazy in Philly when their teams win or lose, and they climb the poles, and so they grease them, that's all. And I thought of that last night. Oh, actually this morning, I'm like, oh, I bet they're out, or maybe they already greased the poles in Philly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. But, again, you have all these funny, quirky things, these, this has never happened before. Let's be real. The NFL has been slacking or lacking thereof of performance from people actually watching the NFL, because of the wokeness of it, let's say, and just the narrative that they've come up with that's really upset a lot of people. And when we think about things that control the narrative and can actually control the outcome of something, then you feel like, wow, you've been gypped. And we talk about that through the voting process of our government. how the citizens getting gypped if their vote's not counted, or someone is finagling things. Well, the NFL works kind of in the same manner, sadly. Some people are like, a little annoyed with them. So, is it that far-fetched? I don't think so. But that's my opinion. The other thing is, I'm going to say that there will not be any kind of upset, and the Kansas City will beat the heck out of the Birds, and I call them the Dirty Birds, although our grandson says, no, Mom, no, honey, that's the Falcons. He does like the Eagles because he played on a team where that was their team name. And I did root for them yesterday because of our grandson, but I don't believe they have a chance in heck against Kansas City. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, we just had a little glitch area going on there, and I think that has resolved itself. Excuse me. I did not obviously get a chance to watch the game yesterday. Gary went to the train show with a friend of his, and I kind of forgot about it because I was doing my thing in my office yesterday. But mindset is such a key to every day on how you start today. So I think maybe the question of the day should be, how do you start your day?
Exactly. I think that's a great question. And again, you determine that. No one else determines that. The news doesn't determine that. The outcome of a game, we're all being, what they call Monday quarterbacks. Whatever you have to do to really start your day off with positivity and feeling good. When you feel good, we know that is a great natural way to get those endorphins going and feeling good. And that's good for your health and your wellness. So that's why we always start out Monday, even though we know Monday technically is not the first day of the week. Your mindset should already be in gear from Sunday. Now, again, it might have been getting a little derailed if your team didn't make it. But, overcome that, anxiousness, that anger, that disappointment, whatever it may be, and say, you know what, that's out of my control. But I'm going to control what I surround myself with. I'm going to control what music I'm listening to that gets me going, my fitness. Am I going to be organized in meal prep this week? Or if I can't get to meal prep, at least am I going to have the right items that I need to keep my health and wellness on track? So these are all things that you can control of. And the other key piece to great mindset is block the noise. Don't let the negative interference get into your brain. That will rewire your brain in such a way that you don't want to go there. And it's your job to make sure that you surround yourself with positivity. So what makes you feel good? What makes you get you into that positive mindset? That's what you got to think about. So is it journaling? Is it reading a good book? Is it listening to good music? Getting your fitness on? Getting that checkoff list of your groceries? Could be, just double checking that you're organized for the week. Whatever's going to make you feel good, do it. And when you have that first that first accomplishment, like mine's always my bed, you feel good. You just naturally feel good. And that transcends into other things that you have to do.
And on that note, like we said, the question of the day is, and of course we want to hear from you, is how do you start your day? Go to our website, www.TwoSistas.online. Leave us a voice message, or of course you can send in a contact form. And on that note, we bid you farewell on this beautiful doom and gloom day in the Northeast. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I'm with
TwoSistas. So this is Carroll-Sue, aka Naughty Boss. Got my face on in the screen. We'll have to work on the other piece, but that's okay. We still got our podcast in, and that comes from perseverance, but a good mindset to know that we can do it. We want you to have that same feeling too. We will see you tomorrow for Triumph Tuesday. Maybe your mindset was so good you didn't have to triumph over anything, which that would be a wonderful thing, but most of the time that doesn't happen that way. But you have a great day, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
now.